Well, hello. I'm in a very get right to it mood today. As you can see, what's on the screen, I think this is something that we really do need to take a good, long, hard look at, which is our U.S. debt clock. This is the actual debt. And as you can see, the numbers are moving. And I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon. Why am I showing you this? Well, I'm showing you this because I honestly feel like it does put things in perspective for us as American citizens. It just lets us see that the debt will keep on ticking. However, our president today decided, while I allowed this to run, that he's going to be bold enough and brazen enough to ask for more money. That's right, money that you and I have no clue where it's going to come from. But right now, President Biden has requested that we, or the Congress, and I say we because it means that we're going to pay for it. We really are. Our grandchildren are anyway. That's the debt clock. Just keep paying attention to it. Don't take your eyes off of that, no matter what. I'm going to read this, and I'm going to read another story because I truly think that enough is enough, don't you? So, President Joe Biden is requesting an additional $33 billion from Congress to further fund Ukraine in its war with Russia. Its war with Russia. The amount would bring the total amount to the U.S. from the U.S. giving the support to Ukraine to nearly $50 billion with a B. Since Russia first went into Ukraine on February the 24th, that's just a couple of months ago, right? Right. So Biden's request includes $20.4 billion in military assistance, along with $8.5 billion in economic assistance. The package also includes $3 billion in humanitarian assistance to address the food shortages around the globe. Not to launch an investigation to find out why all of these plants, which we already know, are going up in smoke. Not to figure out why we don't have anybody really guarding our food at the FDA. Not to, maybe get more people there or break a division off and make it, be accountable for the food portion of the FDA. No, he wants this country to foot the bill, $3 billion for humanitarian assistance to address food shortages around the globe. Now, this is his quote from earlier today. He had the live address Thursday. Today is April the 28th. And he's quoted as saying, "The cost of this fight is not cheap." What fight? And whose fight is it? I'll hold. The cost of this fight is not cheap. But caving to aggression is going to be more costly if we allow it to happen. Really? I find this very humorous. Every time I hear it, it's just maddening. It's maddening. Anyway, Biden said during the address today on Thursday, and then he goes on to say that we either back Ukrainian people as they defend their country, or we stand by as the Russians continue their atrocities and aggression in Ukraine, close quote. The U.S. officials have predicted the 2-month-old conflict between Russia and Ukraine could continue on for months or even years. And some members of Congress have voiced support for Biden's call to up U.S. spending. Quote, "If Putin thought that he could invade Ukraine with impunity, this request by the President of the United States is another reminder that he made a severe miscalculation." This comes from Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen, and he said this on Twitter. But he goes on to say, now Congress must act with urgency. This moment demands, with this moment on the demands to approve this additional funding to support Ukraine. I just want to know, is there anybody on the other end that can let me know if the money is making it there? Am I being rude if I ask that question? Well, it goes on to say that Ukraine's military on Thursday released a statement saying that Russia is, quote, increasing the pace of its offensive operation and exerting intense fire in all directions. The day prior, Russia cut off natural gas to NATO members, Poland and Bulgaria, for refusing to pay in rubles and threatening to do the same to other countries. The EU condemned the action as blackmail. But Biden on Thursday once again rejected the idea that Russia's war in Ukraine could grow into a little proxy conflict between Moscow and the United States and NATO, despite the West's imposing heavy sanctions against Russia and providing Ukraine with weapons. Now, I want to ask a question, and I'm going to just ask a hypothetical question. While our U.S. debt clock is ticking, and while we just heard that he wants to give them more money, has anybody ever thought about the fact that they most assuredly know exactly what they're doing? Has anybody maybe thought about perhaps this could be a concerted effort to drain us of every bit of our money? Of course it is. Yeah, it is. But it would appear that we don't have anybody that can say, hey, wait a minute. Now, one thing I did see, and that was one of the guys, I forgot his name, because to me, they're really senseless. They're worthless, all of them in Congress and all of the guys. But one of, he put up a tweet today. And he goes, you know what, whether you know it or not, all this, we're going to be having a whole lot of people come into the country and they're going to be sending them to your states. But dude, you're right up there and none of you guys are doing anything. I submit that we just pull back every representative that each state has sent. Pull them back. Fire them all, and I'll send you, and I'll send you, and we can send you, and we can send you, and you too, because I guarantee you the people that are in this chat would do a whole lot better than what they're doing. Now, again, I don't find it funny at all that we have another ground beef recall, and yet we're spending money to go to the other countries to help them with their food and security. I don't find that funny and I don't find it cute, but yet and still it's something that goes on and the beat goes on and the clock ticks on. You see, as we sit here, we're getting, there goes some more. I'm not going to move this. I'm going to leave this U.S. debt clock sitting right here because this is the reality of where we are headed, deeper and deeper and deeper in debt. And now Biden also has requested, and as you know, they're looking at the whole student loan situation. Now, that's another thing as this clock continues to tick. President Biden on Thursday said that he is looking at forgiving some student debt after repeatedly extending a moratorium on student loan payments. He says, quote, I'm considering dealing with some debt reduction, is what Biden told reporters after delivering remarks on Ukraine aid. He says, I'm not considering $50,000 debt reduction, but I am in the process of taking a hard look at whether or not there will be additional debt forgiveness. And I'll have the answer on that in the next couple of weeks. But his people say other things. Has anybody else noticed that? How one day you'll see one story and it'll say, well, he's doing this with the debt. And then you'll see him come up and he'll say something totally different. Or they may say that he has decided he was going to give $450,000 to this group of people for, being separated. And then he gets up and says, I never said that. Where are you getting your information, man? I truly and honestly want to tell you who I think is running this country. And I think that it is his former boss. I think they are using his face. I think they're using this man's face. And I think his former boss is literally running the country. I said it. I really did. I said it because I believe it. And I think back when he left office originally, right before he left, he purchased a home right down the street from the house he and his wife were just about to leave. And I distinctly remember him saying, you know what, I'm going to build an army. I'm going to get a group of people we're going to build an army. And he did that. He's not just a person who talks. He pretty much does what he says he's going to do. And so I believe that this is just an arm, an extension of that, of that administration. I truly do. I do. Because right now things are moving at breakneck speed. And the speed that it's moving is in such a way. Share this out, you guys. If you have the ability, please give this a thumbs up. Please give it a thumbs up and share it if you can. But I truly and honestly do feel like this is just going in breakneck speed. And I do not believe that this gentleman who is in there now, with the decline that he is showing, has the ability, cognitively or otherwise, to do and to run the things the way that he's running it now. I don't know whether you know it before I finish reading the story, but you may. Kamala Harris is continuously losing people who are working under her. I mean, she's losing them. And here we are, a year and a handful of months into the administration, and she can't seem to keep anyone. And it's a lot of the quote unquote black people that she's hired. A lot of them are others, but a lot of them. And so none of them are really saying why, but there are some grumbles and there are some rumor as to why. And it could be because neither of these individuals are actually prepared, and neither of them are equipped for the jobs that they have. However, they are being used and they are actors. This is most assuredly my opinion. It is not the opinion of this channel, but it is my opinion that these individuals are actors and that the former, his boss, is the one that's running things. Yeah. And I say that with confidence. I could be wrong. Of course, I don't have any proof to any of this. This is just my opinion. But when you're looking at the amount of money, and when you're looking at the 1 minute he says one thing and the next minute he says another thing, another minute one of his people that step out for him and speak, whether it be Jen Psaki or the other lady that speaks in her stead or whomever, they say different things. It's almost like they got to run behind him to catch him before he says anything. Pretty much like that bunny rabbit that was running after him the other day, telling him, come on, because we can't let Paw get loose. We can't let him get loose, so we cannot have him out here just saying anything he wants to say. But when you consider that he is playing now with the whole money piece, he's playing again with the money piece with regards to the student loan debt. So now Biden, of course, we know earlier this month extended the pandemic moratorium on federal student loan payments and interest accrual through August. The loan payments were first paused in March of 2020, early in the pandemic, under then President Trump, and the moratorium has been extended multiple times. But liberal lawmakers and activists have pushed the White House to go further and outright forgive the student loan debt of millions of Americans, arguing that it would be a major relief for low and middle income families and a way to boost racial equality. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. Tonight, I am hosting a panel, and we are on TLP Headlines with a Voice, and I am dealing specifically with that sentence, the one that's constantly touted, and that is, helping with racial equality. I don't want to spill it all out here, but what I will tell you is, this is the way that they make white America feel guilty for any time they disagree with something that is not sensible. They use terms like this whenever they want to beat white America upside the head. They will use terms that will make certain people feel like, well, I can say it, what I feel in the house, but I can't say it in public, so I'm just going to keep my comment to myself, or people will consider me a racist, so I won't say anything. And these are trigger words. And so these words that they're using, because we know that in the United States, there is no true language, right? All of our language here is an amalgam of other cultures, Spanish or French or all of it, some even Greek terms. So we don't have anything that's native to us other than those who have native tongues. I don't know my family's language, but with that said, they use these types of terms to incite you, to get you to be angry, and then your energy is used in other veins. And so when you see terms like to boost racial equity, that tells you that they're using that money to go someplace else. Now, if they forgive the student loan debt, then what happens? Because that debt doesn't go away. The debt does not go away. The debt stays, most assuredly, the debt stays put. It does not go away. Now, it may go away for the citizen, the citizenry. They don't have to deal with the debt piece of it, but it's not leaving. It just adds to the game, and that clock that you see that's ticking right now will continue. It doesn't change anything. That clock is going to continue. Every time they say they want to spend money on here, there's that clock. That's the reason why it can't stop. It can't stop because it is just like time. It has no end. So now we're seeing them say that it's because of they want to help families, low and middle income families. First of all, and I know some may think that I'm crazy, but please listen to what I have to say. I believe that whenever you turn something into an ability to make money for anybody, you end up corrupting that very thing. So, for example, back in the day, you could go to school to learn a trade. You could be in high school. They used to have mechanics class. I don't know if they still have it now, but they used to have where you could learn to become a mechanic. Some people were better skilled or better suited for working in a technical field with their hands. You could do plumbing, pipe fitting, you could do an apprenticeship, and you can go and do other things. I remember taking typing from the ninth grade all the way through high school because at that particular time there was a need. But here's my point. You did not have to necessarily go to college if you had a skill set that was outside of something that would be considered white collar work, and you could still take care of your family, you could still take care of your bills, you could still do everything that you needed to do, and therein lies there was the fullness of the American dream as we look at this debt clock continue. My parents owned a home. My mother died at 35 years old, but and that was in 1983, and they had purchased a beautiful home in Carson, California, and my mother was in her 20s. Well, those days are long gone. My mother and father were a young couple in California, and my father went to UCLA. He was in the Air Force. Okay, he was an engineer, all of that stuff. All right, he has minor in psychiatry. So my father was a brilliant guy, but listen, there's a lot of brilliant people walking around right now today, and they've got degrees to the hilt. But none of them are going to be able to afford a house. And you know why? Because when they made the mistake of turning away from, and this was, of course, a concerted effort, but hear me out. When they moved away from, encouraging people to do things that were a natural ability. Okay, you got to be a natural at mechanic, working on cars as the example that I've used. But when they went into then all of a sudden say, okay, now everybody go to college and we're going to foot the bill. Well, what did that do? All of the universities at that point had absolutely no competition. None. Because now you've removed the competition. All we're going to do is set up all these different organizations and they're all going to borrow money. We're going to make you borrow money and you borrow the money from the government. The government's going to have the bill. Well, see, we put our hands as a government. Our government put their hands in a place that they did not belong. And that clock that's on the screen keeps ticking. Now, if you had a nursing school, for example, and they wanted to compete with another nursing school, well, what's wrong with that? Make your prices per unit, okay, per credit hour, something that the regular folks can pay off. And letter A, they're going to hustle and find a job when they're done. Why? Because they had to work for this. It's not just, oh, well, I got a phantom check that came and I took it and I spent some on a car and spent a couple on a couple of books. And my friends and I went out and had a good time with the rest of it. It's not going to be, it wouldn't have been that way had we just stayed out of it and allowed things to go the way that they were supposed to go. And yet that clock keeps ticking. That clock keeps ticking because we put our hands in places that they should not be. Now, that's just the way that I see it. That's my perspective on that. Okay, that's my perspective. And so now we're having the conversation of removing debt. And listen, it's not like these people who are in office were not in office during this time frame, because most of these people are, as like my grandson said, expired dinosaur. He's only 10, but he says expired dinosaur. These people are part of the problem, and they should be asked those hard questions. So it goes on to say here that Senate Majority Leader Charles Schumer, has been advocating for the White House to forgive up to $50,000 in student debt for Americans. And he told the activists earlier this month that he believed Biden and the White House were more open to it than ever before. Where did he get that? How did he come up with that information? Was he a part of a meeting that perhaps the seated president was not a part of? Could be. It goes on to say that Press Secretary Jen Psaki has repeatedly said the White House is reviewing its authority on potentially canceling some student debt. But she has reiterated that Biden would be willing to sign legislation canceling student debt if Congress passes such a bill. Now, to my memory, Didn't they just do something with regards to requesting or following through with forgiving loans for disabled students, students that had some disabilities? But then it goes on to say that on Thursday, Psaki said that the White House is still reviewing whether Biden can unilaterally forgive student loan debt. She also added that any cancellation could be means tested so that individuals in the highest income brackets would not have their debt fully forgiven. Well, see, now let me explain something. While we have our children focused on CRT and all this other stuff that's going on right now, over in other countries, let's use India as an example. Let's use a socialist country. That's okay. I'm gonna go there because this is what we're attempting to be, but we're not there, right? Thank God for that. But those individuals and our children, there's no comparison as far as the education is concerned because their education is given to them. And what do they do when they get their education? They get their education as an engineer, or they get their education in the tech industry, and by tech, in this case, I do mean electric, and inside of the computers or whatnot. They get their degrees and then they come over here. And now the monies that they are going to be able to make are astronomical. Why? Because, well, there's no student debt. So what this does is it pushes back further and further the American worker that could have compared with this person. They're going to do the job for far less. Yeah, they are, even though it's an engineering position. It could be a position in their country where they would hardly make anything. But here, the starting salary, and to us, we know this will probably be no money at all. Starting salaries, $125, $125 a year. Well, to them, they're millionaires. And then on top of that, they're going to also get some subsidy for coming. Okay, why? Because we have been set up on stroking and loving on the best and the brightest from outside of our country and completely leaving this place alone. We are completely leaving our people alone, our students, our children, our everything. And again, our kids are focused on stuff that has absolutely no way of giving them any money in the future. Not one drop. Not one drop. And yet, the debt keeps ticking. The debt keeps ticking. Right there on the camera, on the screen here. The debt keeps ticking in real time. The debt keeps ticking. And the sad part is that, I hate to say it, but if you're like me, a person over a certain age, if you're like me, you're over 55, okay? The chances of you seeing this debt paid off is going to be very slim. Why do I say that? Well, because there's no way humanly possible we could ever, and I'm going to let you see it all by yourself. Just look at the whole thing. There's no way that we could ever deal with this. Look at the U.S. national debt. Look at that. And look at all the numbers. We could not even begin to say these numbers. Please don't forget, you guys, as you come in, I want to thank you and welcome you here. I'm going to say my hellos in a little bit, but I want you guys to please make sure that you hit the like button. Please do that for me. I need you to do that. Okay? Because this is serious. Look at the U.S. federal tax revenue. Look at that in the center, the green part. Starts with a 4 and it ends with eternity. Okay? It ends with eternity. It ends with eternity. And with impunity and with a straight face, they have the audacity to ask for more money to be sent to Ukraine. Now, here it comes again. Okay, I want to say this because they keep beating up my cousins. They keep beating up, white people. They do. They do. I mean, hey, you guys already know. I'll show you a picture of my great grandfather. He's a white man. My aunts, all of them. So they keep beating up on my cousins by using terms that's about to come right now. Okay, because here it comes. Here it comes. Here comes another. Here it comes again. Brace yourself. The NAACP, responding to Thursday's announcement, urged Biden to wipe out all the student debt. Give us, give me. I need. Give me. Despite the president indicating that he would not even go up to $50,000. Well, that's Biden probably saying that, but I don't think that it's his former boss, and I don't think that it's exactly, where they're headed. All right? And it goes on to say, quote, for the Black community, who've accumulated debt over generations of oppression. Anything less is unacceptable. This comes from Wisdom Cole, the national director for the Youth and College Division of the NAACP. This person said this in a statement. So you want us to forgive the debt of individuals who got, well, I'm going to tell you exactly how it happened. Let me come back on this side and tell you guys, how did we end up here with having the Black community feel as if they needed somebody to give them something all the time, all the time? Give me, give me, give me. I need, I need, I need. It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting because we allow this. We allow it. This is how we got here. We got here because there were some very fancy people with fancy words that were able to go into communities and cajole individuals into getting things. Listen, I had to pay for my education. I had small grants that I had been given. I had received scholarships, and I do have some student loan debt that I did take, but I had to be responsible to pay that off. You know, being a good steward, you should be responsible to pay off what you have done, or don't do it. What's the matter with going to a community college? People could go to community colleges. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. However, what ends up going on is we end up with people who sort of push the envelope and say, well, you need to have education. You need to have education. We don't have any young mechanics. Not young ones. When I was in high school, and I'm not that old, I'm old, but I'm not that old. But when I was in high school, we had guys who were actual mechanics at 16 and 17 years old. Some of us owned buckets. You know what I mean? Some of us got a car, but it was like a, not necessarily a very fancy car, but a decent car. And some of us would take our cars to these guys, and they would fix the cars. They would. But how many do you see with the acumen today that are 16 and 17-year-olds actually having the ability to use their hands to fix a car? Well, they have thumbs because this is all that they're doing anymore. That's all they're doing now is these two things right here. You can't fight with that. You can't defend yourself with that. You certainly couldn't fix a car. Most of them don't even understand the components of a battery. I knew how to flush my radiator at 17 years old. I knew how to change a tire at 15. My brothers learned earlier than I. And so we have found ourselves painted into a corner because people fear speaking up when individuals keep pushing one narrative. Everything is about the poor, downtrodden, oppressed Black person. And shame on the Black folks for allowing it to be done. Shame on us. Shame on us. That's not cool. It's not cool at all. And yet, Chuck Schumer, as well as the NAACP, just got through touting it as this clock ticks on in real time. The numbers that you see are in real time. They're in real time. And so it is time for all of us to say to them, we do not subscribe to this. I do not subscribe to this. And I'm going to tell people something. Do you know that the majority of us are not crazy? We know that we don't need this kind of help. Matter of fact, most of us, if I don't earn it, I don't want it. So that's one myth that should be dispelled rather swiftly. That myth should be dispelled swiftly. If I don't earn it, I don't want it. If it is owed to me, then okay, I'll take it. If it is owed to me. But if it is not owed to me, do not give me a handout. Why? Because one thing I'll say about us is that we do realize that there's nothing for free. Nothing is free. Nothing. Everything has a price, even if they say something is free. Even if they say it is free, you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to owe me anything. You don't have to pay me back. It's okay. Here, we want to help you, and you don't even know me. You don't know me, but you want to help me, government. And I am very concerned. Very, very concerned. And so when I hear Chuck Schumer, oh yeah, it's going to help with the Black community, with those who are disparaged. Well, you were around at that time too. So are you guys ever going to admit that the decisions that you made to start up a lot of this stuff, the same thing I say with the whole entire insurance thing? Okay. Now, what have they done with the insurance thing? It's the same thing I say with that. Anytime you get somebody where you've got to do something, or you mandate something, or you allow somebody to be able to utilize government funds that they do not have any idea where they're coming from, then what's going to happen is you're going to most assuredly end up raising up the debt. On top of raising up the debt, you're going to also have one person feeling like they are owed something because they've been allowed to get away with things. And so what it does is it builds up. See, here's the problem now. My generation of individuals and, say like my older children, they already know that they are not a victim. And what you're creating is a brand new form of previous racism, and they don't even see it. No, let me say this. Those who are doing it, hey, Marty, those who are doing it, they know. But the people who are being stroked and pet like a little puppy, they have no clue. So if you're somebody who's listening to me, let me explain to you and qualify my statement, because, with all that you're getting, you have to get understanding. So let me tell you how they do it. They will tell you that you are a victim. They will tell you that people owe you something. They will tell you that the country is built on nothing but racism. They will tell you that. They will tell you that. We have 58 people in the chat. I would like to know if everybody who is here, if you don't mind, if you haven't already done so. If you've done so, thank you for hitting that like button. And if you have not, please consider. But what they'll do is they'll tell you that you're a victim and that this country owes you something because this country was brought here by nothing but racism. And that's exactly what it is. And so we want to let you know that we're here to help you, and we're going to give you everything that you need. We're going to give you everything that you need. You don't have to worry about paying it back. We want to help you. First off, we got enough sense to know that when somebody comes around like that, we like, wait a minute. This is too good to be true. This is too good to be true. How did we get to this? Wait a minute. You want to pay all of my debt? You don't even know me, and you want to take care of all of my debt? Every inch of it? Oh, wow, this is great. Well, let me go can I go tell my friends? Can they come? Can my friends come? Oh yeah, everybody. Tell everybody. And you don't even know what that man out there in the big car wants. You really don't know. Remember back in the day, we used to know, don't take things from strangers. Don't take things from strangers. Don't accept a handout from a stranger. Don't speak to strangers. And yet we have people that are in the government telling us what our plight is and what our plight is supposed to be. And there are people like the youngsters right now who are believing in school that they are a victim. Let me tell you something. What that's going to do is in the mind of a child, that's going to tell one child, oh, I got to feel bad for that person because they're lower than me. And the other child is, I need everybody to feel sorry for me because I'm lower than them. What does that sound like? Mind you, we've taken down almost all of the monuments in our great nation. And I had no problem with any of them. Not one bit. Okay? I do feel like if you take all of that down for no reason at all you're doing is exacerbating a problem. And what you're doing is you are lending to the ignorance of the children who are here, because they will never know about any of the greatness that our country succeeded through. You can take all of the statues away, but see, we as a country persevered and pressed through that stuff. So those children will never know that. All they're ever going to know is, see, we have a system here that's set up to help you fail, that's set up to help you stay low. So what that does now is, now you're publicly indoctrinating them. You are publicly indoctrinating them with the spirit of fear and the spirit of less than. And so you are building and creating with CRT. You are building and you are creating a lesser class of people. And for the people who are allowing this to go on and getting on Twitter and other forms of social media, and you're telling people that you agree with this lesson, shame on you. That you agree, but yet you see the clock ticking. And they're using you. And they're trying to use people that look like us to continue to swipe and swipe and swipe and swipe like a credit card, the debt of America, with a black hand pushing it. And so tonight on TLP Headlines with a Voice at 10:15 Eastern, that's a very late time, but that's okay. We are going to talk about this topic from our perspective. And I think that if everybody can get the opportunity to show up and come over, or whomever can, or maybe even go over there and watch it on the replay, you're going to hear people who don't want you to give us everything. You're going to hear people who don't agree with all of this shenanigans. You're going to hear people who literally love our country, contrary to what has been said. Yes, you are. But yet this clock keeps ticking. And yet we have our president and everybody that's with him on the bandwagon. And that's the reason why I say, nah, this isn't him. No, this isn't him. This is his former boss. This is his third term. Now, I had a conversation just recently with somebody, and I asked them if they understood that there was literally another party that was already created. And they said, no, there's only two parties. And in essence, they're correct. But there are other parties that you and I know of, right? We know of libertarians. We know of, green people. We know of all those different parties. But did you know that there is a split, that the conservative or the Republican Party is now divided? And do you know that you and maybe some of your friends may be a part of that divide? And that was a divide that was created by the former president, because a lot of people do not agree with some of his belief systems or tactics. One, for sure, is praising his rapid situation. Okay? Praising his rapid situation, rapid speed. All right? And so a lot of us, we don't agree with him coming back. But let me tell you something. He may or may not. But if he does, that will be my answer. And I'll know exactly who he is. Because if you add it up in months from the active time of starting to the active time of ending, you're probably around 3.5 years. You're probably right around 3.5 years. And see, I don't forget things. I don't forget that there's a whole field over there where they wear the little things on up here like this here. There's a whole field that belongs to him, that was dedicated to him. That's his. There is a coin that's his. Okay? There's a coin that's his. And so there are a lot of people who are divided. This particular party is divided because there are a lot that want to believe that this person is going to come back and he's going to wipe all that you see on the screen away. There's a lot of people who believe that. There's a lot of people that believe that. You hear people talk about Jassar Nassar. You hear all of that. You hear a lot of stuff. But the truth is what you see on this screen, and let me come off of it so that you can see it by yourself. What you see on that screen is where we are. And this man just asked again for $33 billion. How many of you know that if you keep giving a crackhead something, he gonna keep coming back? Huh? You give a crackhead something and he gonna keep coming back. He's not going to stop. There is nothing that you can do to make him stop. He has found a vein and he's gonna tap that vein every single time he can. This man just left us with $800 million in his pocket and we've no receipts showing where that went. Please hear me. We don't know where it went. All we know is that there is a war going on right now, or at least they're setting up for a real one. And they are using our dollars and they are fortifying a country that we cannot have a fight with. And we are fighting that country. Do you realize that? That's all they've got to do is give enough money over there. And each country that's given all the money, of course, we got to be the show out and show the most. But each one of those countries that are giving money are literally at war with Russia. And so when we consider that the numbers on the screen are real, when we consider that the numbers on the screen are our great grandchildren's debt, if this place is still around by then, because I believe that Babylon is fallen. That Babylon is fallen, and that from afar off, they will see her. From afar off, they will lament her ruins. From afar off, they will see that Babylon is fallen. Because of all of the sin and all of the lust and all of the everything that they loved about this place, how they could come here and they could do whatever they want. They could do whatever they want. Could they? Yes, they could. They could come here and do everything and anything that they wanted to do. And they will lament her. They will be sad that she is gone. And then the ruins. Okay? While everybody is running around, the reason why I was going to talk to you guys today about the Iron Mike Tyson, the reason why we were going to have a chat with him was because of the fact that I was going to show you all of the distractions that were going around. You see, what they're doing is they're pulling out their best. They're pulling out their top-notch elites. They're pulling out the top-notch elites to distract you and me so that we don't pay attention to what's really going on. Why? Because they got a very short clock. You see the one that's on the screen. But they have a very, very short time frame. And so what they're doing is they're pulling out every stop that they can. While we're looking over here at Elon Musk, they're doing more begging and more sending. I remember a few months ago where they asked this person who was, he's probably not even around anymore, but he was in Ukraine. And they were saying that, the government of the United States had sent XYZ. And I believe that I know that it was equipment. And this guy says, well, I haven't seen any of it. Where is that? I haven't seen any of it. He said he hadn't seen any of it. So you can tell a country and you can tell people anything. You can tell us anything. And we're not going to know. We're not going to know. There are people who literally have been brainwashed to believe that we have a reason to put our hands in supporting this situation. I spoke to a gentleman in the store the other day. He was eavesdropping on my conversation with the cash lady, the checkout lady. And he said, excuse me, ma'am, I'm sorry, but you know what? We really do need to help them people. I said, what people is that, sir? And he said who he meant. I said, oh, well, I'm sorry. I don't think you're accurate there. Well, we are the superpower in the world. Really, I say. Okay, well, I disagree with that theory as well. Why? Because when you are owned by others who could easily call in their marker, you're not a superpower. You a do-boy. You're not a superpower. You are a do-boy. And I don't know whether people know what a do-boy is, but a do-boy is the cat that does everything that the big guy tells him to do. That's what a do-boy is. A do-boy is the man who does every single thing that the big guy says to do. And pun is intended on that one. Big guy. Pun is intended on that one. Okay? That's what the do-boy does. The do-boy does everything. And that's exactly what this country is. We are the do-boy for the guys that got the little hats. You see, if you do your research on Khazaria, you will understand that they used to fund both sides of the war. Both sides of the war. They used to fund both sides. They did. That's what they did. They got involved, all entangled. They got involved in entanglements, and they were just all in the mix. They were all in the mix. Yep, they were. And that's exactly why you see this debt clock right here, because we get all in the mix. But the only reason why we get in the mix is because there are puppets, and those puppets are being marionettes are being moved by the puppet masters. They say we're going to have a food shortage, and bingo. People got upset because I kept reading the recalls, because we kept enjoying reading those and informing ourselves. And now we see that Biden's Food and Drug Administration has not taken care of the food. So tonight on the other channel, what we're going to be looking at is what Biden's Food and Drug Administration just did with these cigarettes. I know somebody's going to say, well, cigarettes aren't good. You shouldn't have to worry about a cigarette anyway. And let me tell you why we're looking at it. We are looking at this topic simply because they are using, again, the Black community. And they are saying that it is going to be a disparaging thing for the Black community. It is going to cause harm to the Black community. So therefore, we need to remove the cigarettes. You see what we are becoming? So they want you to remove the cigarettes, but don't nobody know what nicotine does? Better look into that. And in that video that I just did over there on TLP that I shared over here in our community tab, you click that. And then when you click that story, I want you to go over, look at the screen, because on the screen there's a whole sentence and it tells you where you need to go to find out this information. And it is some very pertinent and vital information. And so if there are any brown folks in this chat that is watching me, I need you to go over there and watch that. And if you a smoker, puff, puff, give, my brother, keep going. You know why? Because what's in that story, if you look at the screen where you see the Newports, read that. Read that very carefully. And I will tell you that it's not that they like you. Baby, it's the opposite. They want you out. What does she mean? What does she mean? They want them out. They want you out. You see, you were the most reluctant, right? So if you like menthol cigarettes and you've not gotten, you haven't been, sick, you got a bit of protection. Believe it or not. What do you know? Slap your kneecap. Slap your kneecap. You mean to tell me just by using that, I've actually helped myself? Get over there and read that. TLP Headlines with the Voice, going over there. Most of you guys are already subscribed over there. But you go over there and you see what I'm trying to tell you right now. And you will know exactly what I'm saying. If you read the still screen, and I left it on purpose for a full 5 minutes with that quote right there. I left it on purpose. And why did I do that? Because you need to know that they're not doing anything for you. Nobody, when they're using you as a pawn, if anybody plays chess, my father made all of us, and we ended up loving it and enjoying it. There were a few things that we had to do. We had to play chess, we had to play an instrument, or we had to sing, or we had to do something. Okay? And we played chess with my dad, as well as the instrument, as well as, other stuff. But we played chess. And if you don't know what a pawn is, then that explains why you think that you are a victim. That explains why you think that you need the government to support you. That explains it all. That explains every bit of it. That explains every bit of it. Because you honestly think that you need somebody else. Can I get a mod to please put the link in the chat? I apologize. Thank you, whomever. I think we got Marty and somebody else. Okay? But the deal is that, now they want to get rid of all these years, not just the menthol cigarettes, but if you got anybody out there that smokes Black and Mild, you ain't going to be able to have that either. Not with a flavor in it. If you like flavored cigars, you're not going to have that either. No, you're not. Because what I give you on that screen is going to tell you why they don't want you smoking it. Listen, if they cared, why would you be able to go get all and consume all? Why don't they look at the liquor aspect of things? But how about don't touch us at all? If you want to smoke your cigarette, boo-boo, smoke your cigarette. But now what they've got, don't forget, with all these states here that have the marijuana, do your homework, follow what I'm saying, and look it up and prove me wrong. Now, who owns part of the component to marijuana? Who owns part of the patent, which you thought you could never? You can't and I can't go and patent anything natural, but they did. So you can go smoke all that all you want. After they've retarded it and done something to it, you can go smoke all that all you want. That's how they can make it. That's how they can patent it. Okay, real talk. All right. But you're not going to be able to smoke no menthol cigarettes. And they say that the preponderance of black folks that smoke have to have a flavor, or they have to have the menthol cigarettes. All right? That's what they say. Okay? So the FDA did this, and again, breakneck speed. They could not tell us for all those months that those poor babies that had that milk, okay? All right? They couldn't tell us about the baby's formula until after it had come out. Somebody else had released the information. Oh, then they go run and say, okay, yeah, we'll see. We're protecting you. We got it. We've got it. So you see the clock, and they are using you, brother and sister. And they are pushing the people who they make to be the bad guy, to be silent. Do you see how this works? It's both sides of the coin. Everything with them is Janus. Everything is Janus. January, Janus, two sides, one coin, one part of the coin looking back, the other part of the coin looking forward. Everything is Janus. Everything is Janus. Everything. And so that's why they do it. They beat you up. They make you think that I don't like you. They tell you a whole bunch of stuff about me. You don't know because you don't really know me. You only know what you've seen. You only know what you've heard. And so what you do is you go along with it. And because you don't want to, you don't want to offend, bless your heart. There's a lot of people that just don't want to offend. And so they just be quiet and they say, well, this is how these people feel. This is how they feel. And that's not how we feel. That is not how we feel. The way that they're saying that we feel, that's not how we feel. No, sir, no, ma'am. But they will do it. And that's the reason why I say, as you look at that debt, that clock that I'm keeping there on purpose, that clock is sitting there because they're using our people to make everybody else feel bad, that they need the money, that we don't need. That is where we'll be live tonight at 10:15 Eastern, right there. That is TLP Headlines with a Voice. That channel was dedicated specifically to my sister, Bettina. But my point is, you all, this debt clock is only going to get bigger. And the times that we're in right now are only going to become worse. Let me hit this one once and see what happens. There we go. It's only going to get worse. That's all. It'll just get worse and worse. It will. Okay? It will. Because they are with. Now, here's the thing. I know some people would say, well, they're using us and they're going to make things better for us. So if they're going to use us and make it better, I'm going to just let them use me. Because I like her and I like him, and they can do whatever they want as long as it makes a change. Let me go ahead on and let me hip you to some real, okay? Since that's how there may be people out there who feel like that. Let me come on down with you right here, right quick. Let me get down here and tell you something. If you feel as if what they are setting up is to help you become successful in the future, you are terribly mistaken, because they already have your replacement here. If you feel, I'm say it again, if you feel that they are doing what they're doing to make you become better and to be, over the quote unquote white man and all that stuff, you are sadly mistaken, because your replacement is already here. You just think on that. Just think on that. Think on that. As they use you, talking about that student loan, and as they use you talking about every other piece of money, everything, even the insurance that we were doing. Oh, it's we're black and disparaged people. We've got to do this insurance for everybody. And now what's happened is you've got a lot of the insurance companies that have bailed. Why? Because they realize this is not a good idea. But I guarantee you that even the ones that bailed got some type of subsidy for having shown up at all. And the ones that they have that are remaining as a part of this was the ones that they wanted to be anyway. Because why? They wanted to be just one single payer. And so they started the party with all these people and made everybody think, okay, everybody can get insurance. Go ahead, everybody get it. Everybody jump in. Go ahead, get it. Then everybody said, whoa, wait a minute. We only had to do this. Nobody knows. And I'm just giving up for example. Nobody knows that we didn't have to do this forever. All we had to do is do this for the first X amount of years, and now we can back out of this. We don't have to do this. We're not paying for this. We're not becoming a party to this. So now you got only a couple of insurance companies that are a part of it. And while those couple are a part of it, you are paying out of the wazoo. And for those of you who've decided you don't feel like dealing with it, you would just rather eat healthy and take care of yourself and keep yourself healthy and get yourself maybe life insurance, because eventually we all got to leave this place. You do your taxes and you are going to be penalized. Every single thing they've ever put their hands in is just to line the pockets of their friends. Meanwhile, the debt goes on. Because who's picking up the bill for some of those folks who cannot afford the health care at the price that they're offering it? Who's picking it up? You. Because they're turning us into something that we're not. So I just wanted to bring this to you guys, because when I saw that this guy wanted more money. And then did you see that this is a little off that. But we now have somebody who is from Russia. They hate Russia, right? Russia. But they've gotten somebody who's supposed to be our disinformation person. Disinformation. She's a woman who's supposed to handle disinformation in the United States. That's what she's supposed to do. Did you guys know this? Biden has set up a disinformation board headed up by a quote unquote woke so-called expert who's against free speech and tried to pour cold water on Hunter Biden's laptop scandal. Her name is Nina Jackowitz, and she will head the Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board as the executive director. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas did not disclose any powers that would be granted to the dystopian-sounding board. While addressing lawmakers on Wednesday, he did explain that the board would work to tackle disinformation ahead of the November midterms, particularly in Hispanic communities. Meet your replacement. In droves. They ain't got to do. Listen, they don't have to have anything but come on over and get a driver's license, and now they can vote. They don't have to prove anything. And for the poor people who did come here and who had to go through our immigration process and who are still waiting in that process and are being surpassed by individuals who are breaking the law, okay? I apologize on behalf of our country. Poor thing. But it goes on to say that, but Mayorkas did say that the new board would come under the Biden era Center for Prevention Programs and Partnership, meaning that it would have no power to crack down on disinformation and will instead try to combat it by throwing money at what it sees as problems. The program provides communities with resources and tools to help prevent individuals from radicalizing to violence. Last year, the CP3 awarded about $20 million in grants through its Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Grant Program. It is unclear how much cash will be spent on the Disinformation Board. Mayorkas noted that the focus of the new board would be to stop the spread of misinformation in minority communities, including election misinformation, ahead of the 2022 midterms. He added that it would focus on the latest trend of misinformation allegedly targeting the Spanish-speaking voters, who are generally, and this is me speaking, who are generally people who vote conservative. Just saying. right? They generally vote conservative. But now you got your replacement shown. You are no longer needed while they're using you over here. They done brought in a whole nother group of individuals that they've been giving gift cards to. They've been giving gift cards to them. They've been giving money to them. They're coming through California where the price of a 2-bedroom is close to $3,000 a month, if not more. And they're getting these subsidies and they're getting money to go stay in these big old nice places. And compared to where they come from, those are palaces. So you don't think there's a spirit of indebtedness while you're sitting up here allowing yourself to be used as a pincushion, and while you're allowing your children's lives to be altered into something other than what God created it to be, while you're allowing your brothers, your children to follow around and become like these basketball players' sons and daughters. Meanwhile, you want to pretend like you're a quote unquote feminist, and our people are a group of people who have more children born per capita without a 2-parent household. Really? You don't understand that pushing you through the feminist curtain is only turning you into a statistic? One that you vowed that you never wanted to be, but now you are part of the party. Why? Because you want to belong and you got your education. And they told you that you were the best because you were a woman, and that you were a black woman, and that you were this or you were that. Meet your replacement. Meet your replacement. He added that it would focus on the latest trend of misinformation allegedly targeting Spanish voters. No further details on the exact misinformation is being deployed against these communities was shared. Jankowicz, who revealed that she was the head of the department following Mayorkas' meeting with lawmakers, tweeted, quote, "The cat's out of the bag. Here's what I've been up to the past 2 months and why I've been a bit quiet on here." That's what she says. And isn't it ironic? She's got 2 different flags on here. She's got the Ukrainian flag. I can't let you see it. I will leave the link down below because I need you to see this. Black folk, I really need you to see this. I'm not going to take this debt clock off. I'll leave you the link down below so you can see later. But I need you to keep your eyes on that while they're using us. So she's got the Ukrainian flag as well as the American flag. And they said that she's, Russian lady. And then she goes, last week I told NPR Michael, I shudder to think about it. Free speech. Absolutists were taking over more platforms. What that would look like for the marginalized communities, which are already shouldering disproportionate amounts of this abuse. The lies that they tell. The lies that they tell. The lies that they tell. I'm going to let you guys see this, though. I do want to play this. So hold on. Let me share this. Click that. And let you see that.
Effort, our undersecretary for Policy, Rob.
Another huge threat to our homeland is mis and disinformation. You noted that it's a concern of yours at the border, with human smuggling organizations peddling misinformation to exploit vulnerable migrants for profit. One of my main concerns about disinformation is that foreign adversaries attempt to destabilize our elections by targeting people of color with disinformation campaigns. After it became clear that there was foreign meddling in our 2016 election, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence authored a report on the disinformation tactics used by Russia's Internet Research Agency, the IRA, to interfere in the election. The report found that, quote, no single group of Americans was targeted by the IRA information operatives more than African Americans. A newer trend that we saw in the 2020 election and already in the 2022 midterms is that disinformation is being heavily targeted at Spanish-speaking voters, sparking and fueling conspiracy theories. DHS and its components play a big role in addressing mis and disinformation in Spanish and other languages. Can you share what steps you've taken and what future plans you have to address Spanish language mis and disinformation through department-wide approach?
Congresswoman, we have a number of different offices engaged in this critical effort. Of course, our Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has an entire effort focused on election security.
Right.
As part of its mission set. Our Office of Policy, Office of Planning, Policy and Strategy, also is a leading effort. Our Undersecretary
Good night,
of
Timothy.
Policy, Rob Silvers, is co-chair with our Principal Deputy General Counsel, Jennifer Daskell, in leading a just recently constituted
Hey, Charlie.
Disinformation Governance Board. So we're bringing, the goal is to bring the resources of the department together to address this threat. I just read a very interesting study that underscores the importance of the point that you make, the spread of
Hey, Anthony.
misinformation in minority communities specifically, and we are focused on that in the context of our CP3 and other efforts.
All right, so you saw that dribble. Let me go back to my clock because I have to have my clock. I got to let you see the clock. It's got to stay up there. But do you see when I said that they already have your replacement? Do you see? So for those people, I'm sorry, I don't really for that Jan Whitehouse. So do you see that these individuals are really doing this on purpose? They are doing everything that they're doing on purpose. Okay? So it's all done to create a divide. Everything they do is causing a divide. They've divided the white brothers and sisters from the black brothers and sisters. Now they're bringing in Hispanic people, and those people will be divided from the white people that will have, resentment towards them. And then there'll be the black people that'll feel resentment towards them. Do you guys see that this is it's a circle? It's a never ending circle, just like that dead clock. So what I want to say to everybody is to allow yourselves only to have positive and only to see what's real and not accept any lies. Walk up and say hello to a stranger. You know what I mean? Obviously not one where you may have had a little bit of road rage with them, but walk up and say hi to somebody and get to have a strike up a conversation. Strike up a conversation. Because our country is in a lot of heat right now. And it doesn't look like the begging is going to stop. It does not look like the begging is going to stop. So you remember that we have our Savior, that he is on his way. You continue to look up. You continue to realize that he and he alone is where you have everything you need. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Okay? All right, you guys, we're going to get out here. Susan Dorer, honey, what's wrong with you? For the White House. So it's just bad. It's just bad. So I want you guys to all make sure that you are staying positive, taking care of yourselves and taking care of your family. And remember what we always say on any of the Felicia Lockhart publications, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone. Oh, I do too, sweetheart. But by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys take care of yourselves, okay? And then take care of one another. But beyond everything, please continue to walk in love. That is the only thing that will combat hate and all of the above. Love. Okay? All right, you guys. You guys take care of yourselves, and until we see one another again, please continue to be blessed. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way, helping you to make it through another day.